2020, and this year we are going to focus with vision. This is Dara. This is the perfect day to be talking about resolutions and goal planning and all those great things. Resolutions, they get a pretty bad rap because, people will make resolutions. That's the thing to do right now. But then, within weeks, maybe even before the end of January, those resolutions have disappeared. So sitting down and planning your goals with intention will actually help you to figure out how to accomplish those things. So I'm going to do this video and I'm going to actually focus on professional goals. And in later videos, I'm going to, do some more personal goals. And this is because professional goals are more focused, just being around work. And there's some key things that you should think about when tracking professional goals. And of course, if you watched my Life Organizer video, then you know that I'm going to be doing a series of different videos. So in the end, I will actually have videos that relate to those personal goals. Okay, so before I get started, a few admin notes. I have started a Patreon channel, and I would love it if I could get your financial support for this work that I'm doing. And some of the presents is that if you subscribe, then there is early access to these videos, which I will be doing in smaller parts to hopefully deliver more often instead of having huge releases. That being said, there is a huge release on the horizon, but we'll talk about that later. But then also I will be giving, whenever there's a template that I create, I will be giving away the template for subscribers at a certain level. So definitely, subscribe. There are a couple other, perks that come along with subscriptions, but I would love it if I could, it just helps me take the time to do more of these things and support my efforts in doing so. All right, so the importance of goal planning professionally. So I have always planned my professional goals. For many of my greater employers, this was a thing that was done, from the CEO down to the analyst and all in between. So you would know that whatever you're doing will relate to the goals of the overall company. And other companies, the goals system might have been more loose, and some there weren't any goals at all. But I always felt that it was important to plan out what you want to accomplish for the year, and especially, hey, if you're trying to get a promotion or a raise this year, it is a great time to sit down with your management and figure out what is it that you need to do to get you there, and then being able to, actually show yourself achieving those goals and presenting that at the end of the year and saying, yeah, did that, now what? So, but the other bit is that, it's only been the last, 2 years or so that I've really kind of followed my goals, planned them out with intention. So before that, I've always met expectations, which in a lot of grading scales is considered a 3. In school, I guess it would be considered a C. But I am a personality that I like to get an A, and how to get an A is to have intention. And I found that as I, planned my goals, tracked them throughout the year, that I was able to actually far exceed expectations, get those 5s, get those A's, and do it while still maintaining a nice 40-hour work week, in most cases with a nice work-life balance. So all it has is thinking ahead, like most things. If your life is organized, you can get more accomplished. So, all right, so let's go ahead and dive in and get started. So, of course, here I am at the Life Organizer, and I'm going to start with actually adding the 2 different types of goals to our hubs. Remember, if you've watched my Life Organizer, instead of having a goals template, a goals table and a project table and a finance table, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I have one big table to rule them all. And so what I'm going to do first is create an actual trackable goal. And this will make sense as I go, but there's the 2 types. There's going to be a goal to track the overall status of goal tracking, and then there's going to be actual individual goals. So the individual goals I'm going to use the same template to follow them all. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm going to add, so you see here how we have on hold and complete. I'm not going to be adding a lot more statuses to this, but I am going to add statuses for goals. And so I'm going to add status to show when I've meet that criteria. So at base. Let's just do some coloring here. Actually, I want to make this orange and this one blue, just because I like those colors. So basically now what happens is if I'm working on a goal and I actually do complete the base, then I can mark it here, but I'll know that, you know, hey, I've met the requirements for the year. If I don't have any more time to work on this, then it's good. I've satisfied it. But I can also go and say, hey, maybe I found more time, or maybe an opportunity came up and I've actually been able to move to stretch, or even, the golden super. So that's a good reason for putting these 3 states in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly fill this out. All right, so this is what my work goal template is going to be looking like. The first thing I want to do is I want to add a new type here, which is going to be the type of work goal. And I'm going to make that the same color as work, just so I know those 2 things are related. As far as I have planned out so far, I'm just going to have work projects and work goals, but there might be some other type of thing, entity, what have you, that I want to organize in my life organizer related to work. But for now, those are the main 2 things that I know that I'm going to want to track. Eventually, this whole goal is going to, well, not this goal, this is a template, but eventually the goal is going to be taken out of the Hub database and placed in the overarching goal for the year. So when that happens, these things are going to be moved away. I won't have properties anymore. It'll just be a page. So I just put a rank here. So once it's complete, I can show what rank I actually achieved here. I've got a space to put the requirements. I've got the space to ideate on how I will fill those requirements. This is actually the key for achieving your goals, is deciding how you're going to actually accomplish that task. A lot of times we'll say hey, I want to do XYZ during the year, or even with the requirements. So if we have sat down and said, well, the requirement is to help with 3 business development efforts, how am I actually going to go about doing that? What are the tasks that I can do to create that happening? Then I've got, of course, my task stream, and I've got the space to move to archive task once they're completed. So let's go ahead and turn this into a list, remove that table view, and I'm going to filter this by to start with, I just want this to be empty for the template, and that's the thing that we have to add in when we actually create a goal. I'm also going to put the type to be, so I have to go in and add work goal to task stream. So let's do that in a second. But let's add another filter where name contains 2020. And this is because technically 2019 is still going, because even though the year is over, there are finishing tasks for the year. So reviews have to be finished. Meetings are brown reviews need to be finished. And so there's still 2019 happening. All right, so let's quickly just go to the task stream and add that same work goal. Now, I have seen people on the web where they'll do, you know, YouTube videos where people are creating kind of these tags from another table and join them in. And that way their tags can stay consistent and they don't have to keep adding the tags. The only problem is that you can't create a board like this based off of those tags. So, you know, based off of a relationship. So that's why I'm actually doing it manually and going in and updating it in each place. All right, so now let's go ahead and fix that filter to say work goal. Okay. And then what's nice is that each of the things that I add, as I'm adding them, they're already going to have these filters applied of hub and type. I don't know how name works, but I'm just going to make sure to make sure I include the name. All right, so that does it for the template. Let's go ahead and go back out to the main hub and let's create a goal. Let's do it on professional development. Okay, so let's apply the template. And one of the great things about my boss is she's actually laying these things out for us. So once she sets up what the goals are for the year, I literally just copy paste, you know, the information that she's given us. And so I don't have to, you know, I don't have to figure out how to, you know, I don't have to figure out the requirements. She just gives it directly to us. So, I'm just copy pasting for next year. I have a feeling that this particular one won't change. So, you know, but this is an example database anyway. I will have the real thing happening in my database. All right, so this is going to be my requirements. So then maybe I'll come in and I'll brainstorm like how I might meet that. So, you know, maybe I'll put some of the things I did the last year. So accessibility training. Right, they do. Envision and Mural do great webinars. So, you know, whatever. I'll come in through the year or through the, you know, during planning, and anytime an opportunity comes up or I hear anything and I think, oh, that might be great, I'll add it here, and then eventually that will become a task. So let's say update this filter now to contains this page, and let's create a new task. And you see, oh, it does 2020. Nice. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and do that training, and I want to do it before the end of the month, and I'm going to start working on it next week. During my goal planning sessions, like monthly, I actually sit down and figure these things out and block calendar time and all that. That's going to be a different video because it'll be too long to do it here. But I just want to show you like this is how I make sure I assign it to a day and I block time on the calendar to make sure it happens. Okay, so now once this, you know, in this task, I will keep any kind of record, documentation. You know, this particular one had a certificate, so maybe I'll put a copy of that here. And then once it's all finished, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and archive it here, right? Okay. And just in case this is the first time you're watching a Notion video, you know, if you take something out of a table and you put it back in the same table, it retains that metadata information you put in, which is really quite lovely. All right, so that kind of does it for this goal. Let's go ahead and do, You know, that's not done. I missed something here. Somehow I missed the write-up. And I'll go back and add that to the template. Okay, so here what will happen is that once I've completed this to my satisfaction, or even maybe along the way as I finish things, I will do a bit of a write-up. So this way, at the end of the year, when I do my annual review, all I have to do is copy and paste these things in, do a little editing, and boom, it's a lot faster to get my reviews done. Let's just do a copy paste to get that into the template. I meant to say edit. All right, so now I want to create the template that's going to show, or the entity that's going to track all of my goals together. So I'm going to call this maybe I want to give it a cute little icon. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's see what Unsplash has. Sure, that looks great. Okay, so this is going to be the basic layout. Of course, we're going to have the work type is going to be work goal. I've got my task stream, so let's go ahead and filter this. And I'm going to say I want the type to be work goal, and I want the tag to not contain meeting. Now, why is this showing up as a work goal? Because when I added work goals, I changed it. There we go. Okay. So I don't want meetings to show up here. I'm not going to have these statuses. So I could hide. I guess maybe I could show complete, because I do want to know when that's finished so that I'll know to archive it. All right, and then over here, I want to filter by, again, the type is work goal, but this time I want the tag to be meeting. So, if you watched the last video where I started talking about setting up the Life Organizer and I wasn't sure how I would make use of those tags, I actually figured out how. So this is one of the ways, is to be able to separate between types of things that are related. And then here, I want to go ahead and filter the hub by type is, again, work goal, and I want to put two things. I need to add 2020 here. Actually, I don't, because all of my goals from the previous year should be finished. If they're not, they need to be migrated over. So that's fine. It doesn't say that. But I don't want this, like that's this one. I don't need that one to show up there. So let's go ahead and say name does not contain annual. Oops. So type specific. There. Okay, so again, archive tasks will go here, and then here they give us stuff like the schedules and stuff, and other files that might relate to keeping track of our goals. So I'll just move that from the company portal and put it here so I have it where I can find it close at hand. So like here we've got that training, and let's show. Okay, and then I have two views. So I've got the board view, and then of course I have the calendar view. So let's add the same filters to the calendar view. And this time I don't actually mind the meetings showing up on the calendar view. So we're going to go ahead and leave that alone. But let's add a meeting. So a good example would be right, and I'd want to do that at the end of February, and maybe I want to add it to my calendar to start planning for that around the 17th. Okay, so now I've already got on the calendar both the training completion time and the goal planning meeting with John. So that's how I can track overall how it's going to go. Now let me give you a peek at last year's so you can see what this looks like when it's finished, because it's still kind of an abstraction. I will do another video where I show myself planning my goals for the month, but and then also like the weekly, but this just shows you the system for actually tracking. Okay, so this is a sampling of my 2019 annual goal report as it's being completed. The year is done, but there's still tasks left to do. So you'll see here I've got 2 review meetings coming up. So the performance reviews that I have to write of my delegates, and then setting up meetings to go over those reviews with them. You can see here I've got the archive task that I've done. So, telling them to get their peer reviews to me, writing my own self-review, and then of course, doing the peer reviews that I did. Okay. And then down here, I ended up having a couple files. Like I did have the calendar with all these dates. Like you see here, I've got dates here that this happens. And so the calendar would just tell me, when these things should be occurring. All right, so I just showed like some examples here, but I copied over 2 to show you what it looked like inside when it's done. So this is my professional one. Again, I have, since it's now not in the goals table, you see that I've removed that table. It's just a page now. I've tracked here in the rank what I made. And again, there were the requirements, and this is how I met the requirements. These are the things that I did. And here's the archival of, those tasks here. I left this here because there's some things that were good ideas that I might want to carry over into this year. And then that one was a nice little bullet list, but then this one, the review was quite significant to show how it's innovation. So how was I innovative, and showing that right up. And then again, all I had to do for my review was copy paste that information in and do a little like editing and wordsmithing, and then my review was done. So it really did help make the annual review process for me go much smoother than it has in previous years. And again, I was able to achieve really high scores on getting these goals met, because I did it with intention. So anyway, that's it for how I do my professional goals. And again, this template will be available on Patreon. So, support my efforts and see what's available over there. It's patreon.com/UXDiva. patreon.com/UXDiva. I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.